Pakistan would do well to put its own house in order before venturing to point a finger at the world's largest democracy.
My delegation is obliged to exercise its right of reply in response to the statement just made by India. What we have heard from India is pure political fiction. Let me list the lies.
Wow. When will it ever end? It's a Pakistan versus India. I never knew it was this bad. Did you? Let me know below, because sometimes we grow up in a certain country and we're framed to believe that our country's the best, their country's the worst, they're bad because they do this. But if the people got along, it's the governments that pour these things into our mind. But the people usually get along. The governments throw each other against each other and we have wars and stuff. So how do we fix this? And watch this debate. Let me know what you think about these two countries. Who's right? Who's wrong? Is there a right? Is there a way to fix it? Can we just all get along? Here we go. This one gets heated, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.
First, I call on the representative of India.
Thank you, Mr. President. I take the floor to exercise my delegation's right of reply to the statement delivered earlier in the general debate by the representative of Pakistan. Pakistan has become a habitual offender when it comes to misusing this august forum to peddle baseless and malicious propaganda against India. Member states of the United Nations and other multilateral organizations are well aware that Pakistan does so to deflect the international community's attention away from its own abysmal record on human rights. We reiterate that the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are an integral part of India. Matters pertaining to the UTs of J&K and Ladakh are purely internal to India. Pakistan has no locus standi to comment on our domestic matters. As a country with one of the world's worst human rights records, particularly when it comes to minority and women's rights, Pakistan would do well to put its own house in order before venturing to point a finger at the world's largest democracy. A glaring example of the systemic violence against minorities in Pakistan was the large-scale brutality perpetrated against the minority Christian community in Jaranwala in Pakistan's Faisalabad district in August 2023, where a total of 19 churches were gutted and 89 Christian houses were burnt down. Similar treatment has been meted out to the Ahmadiyas, whose places of worship have been demolished. The condition of women belonging to minority communities in Pakistan, notably Hindus, Sikhs, and Christians, remains deplorable. According to a recent report published by Pakistan's own Human Rights Commission, an estimated 1,000 women from minority communities are subjected to abduction and forced conversion and marriage in Pakistan every year. Pakistan has been the home and patron to the largest number of internationally proscribed terrorist entities and individuals in the world. Instead of engaging in technical sophistry, we call upon Pakistan to take credible and verifiable action against the perpetrators of the Mumbai terror attacks, whose victims await justice even after 15 years. In order for there to be peace in South Asia, the actions that Pakistan needs to take are threefold. First, stop cross-border terrorism and shut down its infrastructure of terrorism immediately. Second, vacate Indian territories under its illegal and forcible occupation. And third, stop the grave and persistent human rights violations against the minorities in Pakistan. I thank you, Mr. President.
I now call on the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. President. My delegation is obliged to exercise its right of reply in response to the statement just made by India. What we have heard from India is pure political fiction. Let me list the lies. First, Jammu and Kashmir is not part of India. It never was and never will be. Just ask the people of Jammu and Kashmir. The Security Council done just that. It has decided that the final disposition of Jammu and Kashmir will be decided by its people through a UN-sponsored plebiscite. India accepted the Security Council resolutions. It is obligated to implement them under Article 25 of the UN Charter. It has failed to do so through fraud and force. Instead, India has sought to suppress Kashmiris' demand for their right to self-determination and freedom by imposing a cruel occupation. Since 1989, over 100,000 Kashmiris have been martyred. On 5 August 2019, India gave up all pretense and announced annexation of Jammu and Kashmir. It enlarged its occupation army to 9 lakh, imposed a complete lockdown, turning the beautiful valley of Kashmir into the largest open-air prison in the world. The entire Kashmiri population is the victim of India's brutal tactics. Innocent Kashmiris are killed routinely in fake encounters and cordon and search operations. Collective punishments are imposed with the destruction of entire villages and neighborhoods. The entire Kashmiri political leadership remains incarcerated. 15,000 Kashmiri boys have been abducted, many disappeared and tortured. An information blackout has been imposed by closing media houses and charging independent journalists with terrorism. Indeed, a classic colonial settler project is underway. And yet, the oppressed Kashmiris have not capitulated. They have not given up their demand for freedom from Indian occupation. At all political celebrations, they fly a flag of Pakistan, not India. They cheer the Pakistani cricket team and they shout, Pakistan Zindabad, long live Pakistan. India may forcibly occupy the land of Kashmir, but it has lost its people forever. The second lie is to describe the Kashmiri freedom struggle as terrorism. This is a familiar colonial ploy. Under international law, Kashmiri's resistance to foreign occupation is just and legal. It is India's occupation that is illegal. It is India which must be held accountable for its war crimes and human rights violation in the occupied territory. The 2 reports of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights documented these crimes and violations. Over a dozen special rapporteurs of the Human Rights Council have called for the investigation of human rights violation in Jammu and Kashmir. India has consistently denied them access to the occupied territory. The third Indian lie is to portray itself as a victim of terrorism. On the contrary, India is a serial sponsor of terrorism. It has perpetrated terrorism against each one of its immediate neighbors. Now, India's terrorist franchise has gone global. Pakistan has solid evidence of Indian sponsorship of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which has carried out repeated terrorist attacks against Pakistani civilian and military targets. The BLA, Baloch insurgent, is also financed and operated by India. The captured Indian spy, Naval Commander Kulbhushan Jadhav, has fully enumerated India's terrorist activities in his confession. India must be held accountable for its terrorist activities. Mr. President, if a government is capable of brutally persecuting its own people, one can imagine what it is capable of doing to the people of other nations. The BJP RSS government, which has ruled India since 2014, is guilty of imposing a reign of terror not only against the people of Jammu and Kashmir, but also against its own 200 million Muslims, 2 million Christians, and millions of Dalits and other low-caste Hindus. India's crimes are well documented. These include pogroms in Gujarat, Mumbai and Delhi, the frequent lynching of Muslims by cow vigilantes, the bulldozing of Muslim houses and shops, hate speech including calls by political leaders and Hindutva priests for genocide against Muslims. In orgy of Islamophobia, Muslims are forcibly converted or disenfranchised, bans imposed on hijab, love jihad laws adopted, and hundreds of mosques, including the Babri Mosque, have been destroyed in the campaign to obliterate Muslim and their cultural heritage, the very legacy of India. In the first 8 months of 2023, 525 attacks alone took place against Christians, including the recent inhuman massacre of Christians by Hindu tribes in northeast India. Since 2018, 1 lakh cases of crimes were registered against Dalits. Thousands of Sikhs were killed at the Golden Temple in organized riots in 1984 and thereafter. Mr. President, India will not halt these human rights violations of human rights and international law until sense of impunity is removed. The world must stop giving India free pass for strategic reasons. I thank you.
And there we have it. Well, let me know what you think. If you have have some information that you can share with all the viewers here, I would appreciate it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this debate. Is there a right and is there a wrong? I mean, there's a lot of wrongs I see, but is there a right way to fix it? That's, the key issue is trying to fix these things. We can talk about them all day and listen to them all day, but we agree with each other more than we disagree. But the governments don't want us to believe that, and we never pick up a gun for them. Anyway, let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Have a blessed day and stay safe. Bye-bye.